Hello and welcome to Cricbuzz Live. I'm Saiyami Kher. South Africa won the test matches. India won the ODIs. It's time to buckle up because we're moving into the fast lane. The T20I start today at Cuttack. Joining me today is someone who invented the good length and everyone followed and learned from him. They continue to learn from him. Shaun Pollock, and along with him, Bhattacharjya, who we learn something new every single day. Welcome, gentlemen.
Good to be here.
So good to have you back in the OG studio that you started Cricbuzz Live.
Yeah, this is where it all started for me, and great to see Joy in his green and gold.
Oh,
He's
yes, I
supporting
was just
South
trying to make
Africa.
you welcome.
Supporting South Africa today. Nice of you, Joy. Thank you. Thanks very much.
See, we are so welcoming. When you come in, he said he'll support South Africa. That's how welcoming we are here. But it's just so nice to have you.
There's one thing wearing clothing, and there's another thing what goes on in the heart. And I know in the heart he's not supporting us.
So, Polly's back with the Ala Ray. We were singing this as our producers were singing it in the ear for us. But the first T20I starts today. Joyda, a lot of discussion around what's going to happen. 10 games India plays, and then the big World Cup. Of course, Suryakumar Yadav spoke a lot about it in the press conference as well. But the dominance India's had since the last World Cup, we have played 43 games, lost just 4 games, an incredible win percentage. It's been fantastic for India. Having said that, we always have a lot of discussions and debates with regards to the selections, the combinations. You've been seeing a whole lot of that. What do you think we can expect coming into this game?
First, can I please request Suryakumar Yadav not to talk about preparation, okay? Because a certain Brendan McCullum has they lost the first 2 tests. And when he said that we were over-prepared, I said, why didn't I think of this excuse when I got my mark sheets every year and had to show my parents? Over-prepared? I mean, I've never heard that in my life. So anyway, now Surya is saying that, oh, no, we are not preparing at the last minute. We have been preparing for the last year like good children. We've been studying all the year round. So I am just done with preparations. I think this is the home run for India. And I mean, they've got such a fantastic record. And literally, they've got this record throwing anyone in. Because what the IPL has done is it's thrown you such a plethora of talent that, 2 guys get injured, you put in 2 new guys, you put somebody else in, everybody comes in, fires. That 86% is a ridiculous record in any form of the game. And I think India is really a dominant T20 side. It's an amazingly dominant T20 side.
Well, just an update from the centre is South Africa have won the toss and they have decided to bowl first. Markram said there will be some dew, which is why they are bowling first. So a good toss to win always when there's dew around. But coming back to what we were chatting about with India's combinations, Surya making statements saying we've been preparing since the last World Cup, which is a very first bencher thing to do. As soon as the exam's over, you start studying for your next board exam. That's what Team India has been doing.
Just makes me feel so bad. Just makes me feel very inadequate.
No, but that's what you and Harsha are known to do as well, Joyda. So you shouldn't be putting up this backbencher image of yours because you're also that first bencher who prepares as soon as the exam's over. But Polly, just understanding from someone who's been around for so long, played so much of cricket, for a player when you are shuffled around so much, there's something else that Surya said in the press conference. He said that the openers are fixed. Otherwise, everyone's going to be flexible and they should be okay batting at any position. Tactically, do you think this is a wise thing?
Yeah, I think it's a good mindset to get into because it does often work out that way. You never know who's going to fix to what positions. I agree with the openers. We've often said T20 tournaments are won by the top 3. So you would think your openers and number 3 should be pretty settled. And then after that, a lot of flexibility according to how the match goes. And I suppose it gives the journos something to write about, with regards to, how they're going to play it. I think they just haven't selected their side. They don't understand exactly what the team will be when the World Cup comes about. That's why he's talking about flexibility, because that gives them scope to be able to change things around. South Africa, on the other side, have been very flexible and actually have not picked their main side at all. For a long period of time. And the T20s have been giving people opportunities, but they have talked about this series as being the big one for them. Obviously, it makes sense. You come here, the World Cup's going to happen here in Sri Lanka, 5 games against India, who've been performing unbelievably well. I would think their personnel should be finalised by the end of this 5-match series. And for South Africans, it's just T20 cricket from now until that World Cup. We've got this series, we've got the SA20, we've got games against the West Indies, and then arrive at the World Cup. No other cricket has been played. So it hasn't been great preparation. And if you look at our results, they've been very rubbish, to be blunt, and been average. But now for the next 2 months, there's just T20 focus, and that's a good thing from their perspective. But I think teams they still aren't 100% sure of what they want to do combinations-wise. That's why this kind of talk of, we're trying combinations, we're being flexible, is being thrown around a lot.
You know, you said that it's given journalists lots to write about.
Yeah.
I want to go to Joyda and tell him that your friend Gautam Gambhir gives a lot to journalists to write about all the time.
Gautam Gambhir is keeping so many journalists employed.
And so busy.
He is absolutely talking about team owners, talking about whose domain, my domain. I mean, the last time I heard so much about domain was when the web had internet had just started, Whose domain?
No, because the reference is the last press conference where he said that he was not happy with a certain team owner.
Yeah, which means there's at least one place where he's probably not coaching in the
near future at all.
At all.
But
so he's made a statement, I think, saying that team owners have made a statement and they should stay in their domain and cricketers should stay in their domain.
Which team owners made which statement?
Okay, so it was probably the Delhi team owner. So I think from there you might have heard of them, the Capitals.
Yeah.
You've heard of them?
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Of course.
But Joyda, having said that, we're going into the World Cup. We know that every time Gautam Gambhir goes to a press conference, there's lots for journalists to do, lots for social media to talk about. But do you think someone should gift him like noise head cancellation phones? Because is the World Cup coming up? Do you want to get into all this discussion or just focus on what is on hand? Or does this egg him on?
I think it eggs him on, but I think the thing about it is he's got to figure out what eggs him on, because Gautam actually responds well to, push him as a player, as a captain, he responds like that, in kind. And that's how his mind works. Except some people who need to be angry to play at their best. It happens to players. But I don't think his team is like that. So my point is that if you don't need to take a combative stance now. When you were a captain or a player, you could take it because that's what motivated you. I think now you need to think as coach, what does your team need best? Does it need a calmer environment? What does it need best? Because I think it's a pressure cooker. And remember one thing, it's still easier playing a World Cup away than at home. Playing a World Cup at home with all the attendant pressures and you going in as such heavy favourites, it's going to be a lot of pressure. So don't add to it by, having trouble with the press.
I think also the World Cup, when you look at it, I was looking at the fixtures the other day, and it's very much down to 2 or 3 games. I mean, let's be honest, if you have a look at the pools, everyone qualifies because you're playing some of the lesser known. And I'm looking forward to seeing what scores we get. I think there's going to be a few 300s, maybe even 400s with some of those teams. Can you imagine playing, for example, Italy on a flat wicket at a small ground? And then it gets down to how can you produce on a particular day, because that's what it gets down to, those big tournaments, and being the champions from last time, having a home fixture, there'll be extra pressure on those knockout matches. And it's about getting your team into the right mindset. I mean, the way they've played, you can say what you want. I mean, when you're winning nearly 90% of your games, as a coach, captain, you can say what you want. But it will come down.
But does that affect the players, Paulie, when your coach and your management's making such strong statements?
As I say, sometimes it's a good tactic, because what you do is you take the focus off the players and it gives the press people, as we talk about, things to write about. So for 10 days, they're all worried about your comments and what you've said and how they can write things. And then they leave the players alone, and then lets their performances stand up. However they go in the first or second game, if they play well, it takes the pressure off them. But each their own. At the end of the day, you're judged on how those big tournaments go.
Well, that's a refreshing take to see that you keep the players away, let the management make the comments. But let's have a look at India's playing 11, because there's a lot of discussion whenever we see our playing 11. With today's 11, Varun Chakravarti is coming in and so is Akshar Patel. Those are the 2 spinners, Joyda. And there is no Sanju Samson. Shubman Gill will be opening. Of course, there is Arshdeep Bumrah in the side, Hardik in, and there will be Jitesh who will be keeping. Are you happy with this playing 11, or you think lots of mixed?
So I think 2 things. One is that when India plays the extra fast bowler, so India has been, for a long time, India in T20s in India has been playing with basically Bumrah, Hardik and 3 spinners. When they're playing the extra fast bowler, I think they anticipate dew in the end.
Yes.
So that there'll be a problem that if they lose the toss and they have to bowl second, if they have to bowl second, then they'll be in a position where probably the spinner would be less effective.
Also the red soil, you think?
Might be red soil as well. So I think that's the thing, that's the decision India is taking on a day-to-day basis. Either you play Arshdeep or one of Arshdeep or Harshit Rana. They prefer Arshdeep because he's lefty and he gives you more options. Or you play Kuldeep and play that spinner. So that's one decision that's been taken. The second I've been harping around for a long time, which is that, look, you've taken a call now. If you're not going to bat Sanju down the order, I mean, if you're not going to bat Sanju up the order, then keeping him really doesn't make sense. You might as well keep a Rishabh Pant who's used to batting at 4, 5, 6, because, you know, Sanju Samson has really proven, he's scored 3 centuries up front. He's really done well for you in the top. If you're fixed that, okay, Shubman's taken that place and that place is gone, then your keeper is going to be a finisher keeper, which is Jitesh. So I think India has gone with that. And India has now decided that this is the process we're going to take. In which case, what I'd do is, I'd bring a second finisher keeper in. That means a keeper as a backup. Because it makes sense for me then to go down that road rather than have a situation where, you know, Sanju is batting out of position. There's no point.
But having said that, Polly, you know, this with Sanju Samson, do you think he's had a raw deal? Because he did get those 300s up at the top and then he was moved around down. Surya Kumar Yadav has said that he was given his opportunities, but they moved him. This is what he had to say in terms of Sanju. Yes, when he came to the circuit, he batted higher up the order. Now, the thing is, other than the openers, I feel everyone has to be very flexible. Shubman had played before him in the Sri Lanka series, so he deserved to take that spot. So with Shubman coming in, there is really no place for Sanju Samson because he has to go down. So do you think it's been a raw deal to Sanju Samson?
It is a little bit of a raw deal, but you know, those opportunities are often created by people being injured or maybe being rested, whatever it may be, and players will step up and perform. I suppose you kind of need to look at Shubman Gill from a different perspective now. I think he is almost being elevated to the likes of Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli. And when they came back into teams, where did they go? They went back into their position.
Yes.
It wasn't like a case of we're going to shift them down. And I think what he's shown, you know, even in that test series in England, he's kind of shown that he's the number one, isn't he, batting-wise. So I get the fact that he was the man in possession, and with the stature that he has, it's a rough one on Sanju because he's played so well, and when he hasn't disappointed when he's been given that chance. And it's just team dynamics. I think the case, you know, when Shubman comes back, I'm glad he's recovered from his neck injury. I think he's the best player, so he goes to the top. And obviously, you also look at the partnership that he's formed with Abhishek over the years. They kind of know each other's game really well, and they bounce off each other nicely.
So, Joyda, this is the statement then moving forward that we see a Jitesh as...
That's my point. Yes. If you're going to do that, just bring Pant in, have that whole keeper-finisher kind of a concept there, and say, okay, Shubman is going to bat up front. And I think that it is what it is. He's right. I mean, right now, long-term, India is looking, that's the leadership they're looking at. They're looking at the leadership of saying that, you know, Shubman is our long-term leader. He's already leading you in a couple of formats. He'll probably lead you in all 3 formats in time to come. Because if you see age-wise, you know, even...
much younger.
He's much younger than all these kids. So he's going to get that opportunity and he's going to do that. And I think that's the way India is going. So, and what he said is very important, that after Rohit and Virat, this is the next big star that's emerging. That's the guy they're going to back, you know, across formats. So it is. But it's really hard luck on Sanju because I think every chance that he's got out there, he's done fantastically. And when Sanju's on form, he's a fantastic bat. Having said that, Shubman has got 800 runs in an IPL season.
Yes.
So he's not a... He's a terrific bat. There's no doubt about it.
It's tough when there's just 11 places in that team. Let's have a look at South Africa's playing 11 for today. They have gone ahead with Keshav Maharaj in today's game.
Okay.
So, George Linde, who you rate very highly, hasn't made it to the playing 11.
Yeah.
And Nortje is in, which hasn't happened in some time.
Yeah, great.
I'm happy with this 11.
Great to see him back. I mean, we'll go from the top. Quinton, obviously, is back in the mix. Left-hander, right-hander combination, so much experience. Those two on these conditions. Tristan Stubbs, he's played in the RPL, so has Brevis, Miller. Donovan Ferreira hasn't played that much, but he's quite an exciting striker. You know, he probably, I mean, I suppose you would even maybe consider Hendrik Klaasen over the next 2 months. Maybe he makes a restatement to try and get included. Marco Jansen's been in great touch, no surprise there. George Linde is someone I would love to see on these conditions. He's a very tall left-arm spinner. He doesn't really give it much air. He kind of darts it in and he strikes it nicely. So he gives you an extra bit of depth, left-handed batting option as well. So I'm sure he'll get his chance in the series. But he hasn't played much RPL cricket, and that's why I would like to see how he'd go in these conditions, because I think he could be a real find. But great to see Nortje back. We've kind of missed that express bowler for South Africa. I think it was 500 and something days he hasn't played for South Africa, so he'll be chomping at the bit to get out there and play. it looks like a nicely balanced side. I'm just more interested to see David Miller hasn't played for a while, so we're interested to see how he gets on. But it looks like a good team.
What do you think of the fast bowling attack? Because they've got Siplame in.
Yeah.
And
Bring it up again. I think that's probably the one experiment. You know, they would love to have Kakisa Rabada, and they're obviously resting him. Nandre Berger probably would have been the one that played because that's the left arm option. He's injured now.
But he'll fit in once he's back.
Yeah. So, I mean, you would probably have KG and Berger by the time the World Cup comes along. You know, it's the left-hand option. We've seen how effective you can go down to like a Trent Bolt or an Arshdeep Singh. They all get the ball to shape, and that creates wickets up front. Then you've got the pace of Nortje in the latter part of the power play and the middle overs, and then you've got the experience of Rabada and Lungi competing for a spot. So because of those injuries, we'll have a look at Sapamla and see how he gets on. I think he's improved.
Yes.
Initially got his opening to play for South Africa probably 3 or 4 years back. Kind of was probably a little bit underdone or short of a gallop with regards to experience. Has improved and done well in some domestic stuff. I know in the not the SA20 but the CSA20. I think he was the leading wicket taker at one stage. So he has improved, but whether this level on these conditions will be a little bit more of an ask from him.
Well, you spoke about the left-handers. There's one left-hander who's been very impressive for South Africa, and that's been Jansen, because he's really grown leaps and bounds. He's had 204 runs, 19 wickets in the SA20 that he played. He had a very good IPL season as well, the second highest joint wicket taker. So all things looking very good for Jansen. And your dear friend, who you say is one of the nicest persons you know, Jack Callis, had very good things to say about Jansen as well. He said he's had a massive year. It was just a matter of figuring his game out. He's always been magnificent with the ball. Perhaps in previous years, he didn't quite fulfill his talent with the bat. He's certainly turned that around. He's a premium all-rounder now.
Absolutely. I mean, I was just, we were talking a few days back, and he as a 9-year-old got 160 with the bat first. So his father first noticed his talent with the bat. And then he shoots up and becomes this great bowler.
And gets Virat Kohli out. And there's no looking back.
There's no looking back from there. But also, one more thing. I mean, amazing for a player. He's playing all 3 formats, and he's one of the few guys who's been playing going to play throughout this series. His touchwood, his fitness and his health, because if you're that tall, you generally tend to be injury prone. The fast bowlers tend to be at that height, you tend to be injury prone. And touchwood, he's really looked after himself. He's looked really good. And as a batter, he's looked a much more destructive batter. Maybe a year or two before, you used to think of him more as hit or miss. He'll get a couple of big shots. Now he seems to take responsibility. The way he's played the ODIs, the way he sort of hung around, made sure that he could hit, and really used his long levers in reach. And I think he's now a proper, mature all-rounder. And that just gives so many more options. You've got him, you've got Keshav Maharaj, you've got Linde in the bench, you've got Markram who can bowl a bit. So South Africa, once again, had that plethora of all-rounders they're going with. I'm interesting not to see Bosch in this lineup.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's good competition. That's what I'm saying. I think they just want to have a look at Sapamla and see what he's capable of. I think they know Corbin Bosch should be in the World Cup squad. I mean, it would definitely strengthen that side at the moment if you placed Bosch in place of Sapamla because of the striking he's been doing. So it would give that extra depth to the batting. But you're right about Jansen as well. He's kind of worked things out a little bit. I think some stages him and Brevis need to be a little bit more selective about how they go through the gears. In T20 cricket, you've got to go to the 6th gear. But every once in a while, just to jolt back to 4th or 3rd, just for a period of time, just to knock it around and keep the innings going. But it's exciting to see their hitting ability. I think there's no doubt that at the back end, the guys who can strike it out the ground.
But Paulie, also something that Joyda said, that he, touchwood, injury hasn't come his way. He's 25 years old, still very young. One of those few all-rounders playing all 3 formats. Do you think it's still too early, or should he be thinking of work management?
I think they'll consider his workload. I mean, they did give him a rest. He broke his finger at the World Test Championship, so he was out for 2 or so months. He had a little operation on that one, so he kind of had a break. He also jokes with us and says he hasn't really got lots of muscles to pull. It's more like sinew because of the way he is. But I mean, he's been fantastic, hasn't he? Just his ability and what he's shown in all formats. I mean, if you look at his Test career, his strike rate, I've forgotten about. We talked about KG and Bumrah and that, but I looked at his stats the other day at the end of the last test match. It's pretty formidable. I mean, he's almost getting close to 100 wickets and he's striking unbelievably, and then add in that batting to go with. So, yeah, it's been a real find for us. We know for a while we kind of thought, oh, where's the all-rounders gone? You know, Bosch has taken many years to kind of develop. He's 31, I think he is, and now he's coming into his best. But Marco Jansen's really stepped up. So, you know, if you do those two, and if George Linder starts to show some form, that means...
Mulder also.
Yeah. Three, well, he won't play in the T20s, but you've got three
solid all-rounders.
Solid all-rounders who can strike it nasty, bowl the overs. Your balance and your depth starting to look better.
Paul, you're talking about the 100 wickets. There's somebody who's hitting 100 sixes at will, and he's going to come out to bat because South Africa will be bowling first, India's batting first. Joyda, Abhishek Sharma has just had an exceptional year. Such a young, phenomenal talent. He's the world #1 T20 batter right now. We've seen what he's done at the Mushtaq Ali Trophy. He manages to hit those big shots at will. Just look at the numbers here. 36 innings in 2025. He's striking at 204. And when he hits them, he continues to hit them because he doesn't stop at just 100. He likes the big hundreds. He's been an incredible find.
Incredible find. And you think about it, they all came together in that one batch of, that's the 2018 World Cup that they won in New Zealand. Prithvi Shaw was the captain. And at that time, they saw Prithvi was a big talent. And then the other talent was Shubman Gill, who was there. And then Abhishek Sharma is somewhere there. And now if you look at it, I mean, Prithvi is, you know, playing for Maharashtra, resurrecting a career. You hope he's going to make it. But Abhishek has just been... And I think that's the thing, that once he moved from Delhi to Sunrisers Hyderabad, somebody gave him a backing. He got Pat Cummins, you know, to talk to him, and he's just been a different player. Opened with Travis Head. And I think since then, his confidence, his ability, of course, Yuvraj also is a very close associate of his, has mentored him for a long time. I think he's in the form of his life, and he should just hold on to it because, you know, we have a home T20 World Cup coming. Incredible. And what's also not known is that he's actually been taking wickets as well. He bowls his left arm leg spin. And in the 5 matches that he just played before this, he's been scoring in the side Mushtaq Ali at about 250. But he's also got 7 wickets in 5 matches. So he's not doing badly. I mean, probably that's one of the reasons they might not be playing Kuldeep, saying, let's give him a shot. There are 5, you know, T20s
if
to
needed,
go.
he'd bowl, yes.
He doesn't need to bowl 4 overs, but you get a couple of overs out of him, perhaps he could be useful.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always looking forward to seeing the bowlers, but the 2 lefties at the top of the order. So you talk about Abhishek, he's been in good touch. I heard about a game he played the other day where I think he got 140 in no time as well.
Against Bengal,
Yeah,
in the sixes in that one.
Yeah, so he's looking good. And then I also looked at Quinton de Kock's record against India. Pretty impressive in what he's done. Not only in the one days, but also the T20. So if you're going to pick 2 players, I think the 2 lefties at the top of the order might be the exciting ones to go for tonight.
But if you were bowling to Abhishek Sharma, you had that new ball in your hand, you've seen how he's not only predetermining shots, but he's someone who'll pull back when needed. He'll play that one defense shot when needed, but otherwise he just goes from the word go. What would your plan of action be?
I would have him covered. I would have knocked him over. No problem whatsoever. In my pomp, I would have knocked him over. No, I think you've got to try and get him scoring in one area. I think his strength is that he can score both sides of the wicket. So you have to negate that. You have to really be tight in a certain line and set a fielders accordingly. You know, I think a lot of it in that T20 format now, you've got to find ways to get guys to take risks where your fielders are. And if you can do that, you've got half a chance. But it'll be interesting to see how the surface plays. If it's a belter, then those South Africans will definitely have their work cut out for them, particularly with the batting lineup that India's got.
Is Quinny in the auction?
Yes, he's put his name in the auction, so he's the last name that
he's a new name, so he's got a little bit more incentive.
Yeah, I tell you what, also his stocks have gone up. By the end of, if you had to say the auction took place at the end of the last IPL, people might not have gone for him, but then he went across to the MLC, performed well for Mumbai there, and then he's bounced back and he's come to South Africa and he's hit the ground running. He's shown us what he's capable of against India, against Pakistan. So his stocks have gone up.
So basically today is the 9th, right?
16th is
9th, 11th, 14th.
He's got 3 games. He's got 3 games.
Exactly.
2 big knocks. But Joyda, just a little more on Abhishek. What kind of message is this sending across to youngsters? Because he's someone who is aggressive from the word go. We are seeing all the youngsters that are coming up, be it Suryavanshi, be it Ayush Mhatre. there's just complete aggression from the word go. So is this the way forward where you can forget the conventional old school way of opening and it's just going to be aggression from the word go?
I think, look, this is what it is. And in fact, when we were struggling in the test matches, I mean, you know, there's something in basic economics. It's what you optimize for. And unfortunately or fortunately, the rewards, therefore you optimize, they're optimizing to play T20 cricket. Now, 4-day cricket for them is the second option. So they're optimizing for attack from the very start. And if you don't attack, if you're not batting at a strike rate of 200, somebody else is going to be batting at that strike rate. So what's happening is you're pushing, I mean, it's literally an arms race out there. And if you see these youngsters, Matre, Suryavanshi, all of them are scoring at that rate now. All these guys are 180, 190, 200 score strike rates. And look, it may not be the same if if you're going somewhere where the ball's going to jag around a little bit. You're not going to be able to hit through the line like you do right now. So those are things that you have to watch out for. But look, right now they're here. They're going to be playing in India. And Abhishek is currently A, the flavour of the season, B, the template for all current batsmen coming in.
Yeah, what I'd say is I think all of them can strike it really well.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that. But you actually do have to come up with consistency. There has to be a little bit of consistency. That's what he's done. I mean, maybe last year wasn't as consistent in the IPL, but the year before was unbelievably consistent. And that's what you've got to show because, as Joyce says, strike rate was your Suryavanshis, everyone's hitting it quickly. But you have to find a way to get your team off to a solid start often. And that's where they'll be impressed by what he's done. And the young kids out there need to work out the art of, maybe I don't need to be going for a 90% risk shot. I can play a 60% risk shot, back my normal abilities, but still keep the runs ticking over at a 200 strike rate.
Well, probably someone who's going to want to bowl to him because, like you said, Nortje has not bowled in 500 plus days. He's coming back. Where would you like to see him bowl? Up front? Do you want to hold him for the middle overs?
He's not one of those guys who gets a lot of movement through the air. So you want to give your guys initially the first 4 overs. So you're someone like a Jansen and a Lungi and Giddy will get some shape. So you want them to go. I think he's been most effective at the back end of the power play. So overs 5, 6, and then in the middle overs where batters come in and you can try and force the issue. There you can see his figures. But you talk about phase 1 to 6. He's more than likely, if you had to actually do the research, they would find out that he's bowled overs 5 and 6 or 4, 5 and 6. And in the middle overs, he has that ability to pick up wickets. He's probably not the best at the death. And with him having been out of cricket for a long time, I'd be surprised if they give him that role tonight to bowl the death overs. But he's that guy who can break partnerships. So that's how they should use him.
But Joyda, is he going to be that spearhead bowler for South Africa now, considering he's not played for so long? A stress fracture is always a very irritating injury to have.
It is. But look, he is that bowler, that middle-order enforcer bowler, and every team needs it. And because, see, when the ball stops shaping around, you're either going to bowl with a spinner or you're going to bowl with somebody who has that genuine pace, bowls at 150, doesn't need movement or anything to help him. And I think those kind of bowlers are now very popular in this format. And they generally don't get the new ball because you want, as Polly said, in the first few overs, anyone who can shape the ball, you want to give them the ball. So his job is between that 5 to 14, 15 overs. That's his job. He comes in the middle, takes wickets, sheer pace, dominates you, and no batter likes balls coming to him at 150. So he'll get hit once in a while. But more often than not, if he can play that enforcer role, which he's done very successfully in the IPL when he was playing well for Delhi, that's what he really did. I think that's what they expect out of him. And if South Africa can get that out of him, I think he's definitely, because that's a missing piece.
Yes.
Having somebody who bowls a middle well, because you need one fast bowler who bowls a middle well, you need one spinner who bowls a middle well. If you have these two, it'll be fantastic. And I think he's that key to South Africa in the middle.
Well, he will be eager to go out and bowl. South Africa will be bowling first. They did win the toss. Let's have a look at the playing 11s quickly again. Let's have a look at India's playing 11. They have gone ahead with Varun Chakravarti today and Aksar. There is no Kuldeep. There's, of course, Jasprit who's back in, Arshdeep Singh. No Sanju Samson as Shubman Gill makes it back to the 11. Let's quickly have a look at South Africa's playing 11 as well. Like Joyda said, lots for Quinny de Kock to play because he's got 3 games before the big auction. Captain Markram comes back. Interesting choices they've made there because they've got Nortje back and they have gone ahead with Keshav Maharaj as well. And we will now go ahead. We know what we have to do. Polly, are you
got a joy
excited
factor
to
question?
answer the
Yeah.
joy factor question of the day?
Yeah,
He had a funny one the last time we were here. Let's see what you've got.
I had one about streakers last time. After Hedos's promise, I said I had to have one about streakers. No, this one is more conventional, but it's a fun one again. Which cricketer took 6 wickets in the second innings of his test debut and held a batting record since 2015, which has just been equalled in 2025. In fact, I'll tell you, it's been equalled in this current Shahid Mushtaq Ali tournament.
Put it up again. Put it up again. I need to read it. Yeah. Which cricketer in 2020 a cricketer took 6 wickets in the second innings of his test debut? He held the batting record.
It's a toughie, but interesting. The fact that a guy who played his first test as a spinner actually held a batting record which was around for 10 years. Even now he holds it because it's just been equalled. It's not been crossed.
Well, we have 3 hours to decode this and over a nice, wonderful meal which we will be serving you very soon. So we'll take our time on that. But we should do our prediction games quickly.
Yeah.
We had Zach as a winner the last time you were here. So, Polly, you're back to your OG studio. Why don't you go first?
I'm going to go 187.
187.
I'm going to go higher. 202.
187, 202. I'm going with 208.
Wow.
Going even higher. Clearly know where the support is.
I'm backing my South African bowlers.
I can make that out here.
All right, we will find out and see if we have a winner today, but we will be back at the 10-hour point at the Cricbuzz Combox. So do join us there. Thank you, Polly. Thank you, Joyda. We will go have our meal and decode Joyda's answers. But I'm sure we already have at least 20, 30 answers that have come in. So do join us at the 10-hour point at the Cricbuzz Combox. Thank you for watching.